Hey guys, Marauder here, and welcome to another collection update. I have everything in front of me that I have purchased since the last collection update, and I broke them up into systems. So hopefully as we go through these, you'll see a couple of games you're interested in, and I can give some recommendations along the way. So let's get this going. To start out with the Nintendo Wii, I picked up a copy of Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock. I bought this from my sister's garage sale, and I paid about, I don't remember, $5 or $10 for it. Not too bad. And it came with two guitars. I thought it would be fun to kind of go back and replay this, but sadly I am just no good at it anymore. I remember I was decent at the 360 version, but man, you get rusty quick with this. Still, fun to have, just in case people want to play it, and I have two guitars for the Wii version now, so more plastic stuff to stack next to my other plastic guitars. So, that's fun. Not a bad game, it's just kind of a sad thing that Activision drove it into the ground, as they tend to do. The next game for my Wii as well is Arcrise Fantasia, and this is an RPG I've wanted to play for a long time, and I found it for a decent price at GameStop. I think I paid $19 for this, and it's in really nice shape, comes complete, and I really haven't had any time to play this yet because of other games in the piles, but I will hopefully get around to this soon. As far as I've researched, the critic score is really low on this, but the fan score is very high, so that's good to know. Alrighty, moving on to my PS3, I have two games. The first one being a copy of Layer, and Layer's an interesting one because it was a very early PS3 game from what I remember, and they were talking it up like it was going to be the greatest game ever. It was going to have the best graphics and the best sound and the best everything. And they tried to cram in everything they could into this game. It also helps that it's done by one of my favorite developers of all time, Factor 5. It's kind of a shame this game kind of tanked the company. But, you know, I think I paid about $2 for this. So I'm not at all disappointed now. I know it's old, and that's probably why. But I'm having fun with it. Once you download the update that allows you to get rid of most of the 6-axis controls, it plays really well. It's still a little buggy and glitchy, but nothing that's too terrible, I guess. I don't know. I still find it to be a fun fantasy game. You don't see games like this much anymore. In the fantasy genre with dragons and things, I really would want to see more games like this, and not just another, Call of Duty rip-off shooter game. So it's original, if nothing else, and for the price, I'm quite enjoying it. The next game I have also for PS3 is a copy of Beyond Two Souls, and this is a game I wanted to play for a long time as well. I waited until, I think it was Black Friday, they had this game half off at a store, so I went and picked it up. I've played through a bit of it, a couple hours with a friend of mine, and I'm enjoying it. The two-player mode is actually kind of interesting in that one player plays as the girl character, and the other player plays as the ghost that's inside of her or something. You're supposed to be able to also play this with, like, touchscreen devices and things, but I don't really care to try that, on my phone or my tablet or anything like that. Surprisingly enough, I don't think it works with the Vita, and you would assume that if they're going to try to make it workable with a touchscreen device, that the PS Vita would be something that they would attempt it with, but sadly not. Still, not a bad game so far. I'm interested in the storyline. Well, as much of a game as you can call this, I guess. But I'm interested in the storyline, and I don't know. I'm looking forward to getting further into this, but since my friend and I are playing it together, I kind of have to wait for him to have time as well. Getting our schedules to work out necessarily isn't the easiest thing to do. Moving on to my 3DS, I picked up two games. The first one being Pokemon X. Anyone who listens to the podcast that I make knows how much I enjoyed this game. This is exactly what Pokemon should have been back on the DS. And it's still Pokemon at its core. It still has the same core mechanics and the gotta catch 'em all mentality, but I don't know, everything's new. All the character designs are really well done. Everything just feels fresh and new. And I'm having a ton of fun going through this and playing it a whole lot. It's probably the best Pokemon game since the originals, I would say. And if you're thinking about starting into Pokemon, this is the one to get, because this is the one that I think gets a lot of things right that the previous games, I won't say got wrong, but didn't improve on as much as I would have liked, I should say. So this is great. The online is fun. The Wonder Trade feature is interesting. There's actually a challenge out there called Wonder Trade Challenge, which I want to attempt, where you catch 6 Pokemon, you trade them away, and then whatever you get Wonder Traded back, that's what you play the entire game with. Interesting idea, and something I would like to try. So, the only thing I could say that's a negative is this game is really easy. And that's it, pretty much. I mean, it's really simple. I don't think I've ever blacked out against an opponent. And, yeah. But it's a fun game to go through, and certainly for Pokemon fans and people who are fans of RPGs, this is definitely one to try. It's really, really good. The other game I got on my 3DS, which I have not had time to play yet, is The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds for 3DS. I bought this when it came out, and it literally just sat there. During the retail period of the year, the Christmas holiday season, I work retail, so it's very busy, very hectic, and I end up working a lot more than I usually do. So I haven't had much time to get into this, but all of my friends bought it too. They're all playing it. They all love it. I saw that some publications are giving it perfect scores, which I don't know if that's just because it's Zelda or if it's because it's a really good game. I don't know. I'm looking forward to getting into this. I really hope it's as good as everyone says it is, but as of right now, I have not actually played it. One game I have played on my PS Vita, and yes, I actually bought a Vita game. This will make, I think, 4 Vita games that I have, is a copy of Killzone Mercenary. And this is a portable version of the Killzone franchise. I'm a huge Killzone fan, so I had to pick this up. It was less than $20 on Black Friday. And yeah, it is a blast to play through. The only issue I have with it is the joysticks on the Vita are very tiny and they don't have much travel to them. So I find it very difficult to actually aim. I end up lowering the sensitivity quite a bit in the settings just to get it to where I can aim efficiently. But once you figure all that out and fiddle with controls, the game itself is really good. A couple things they changed from the console counterparts is you're not picking up weapons. You just pick up ammo when you kill somebody. So the way you get weapons is there are these boxes that you go to and you can purchase any weapon that you can afford, and that swaps out your weapons. So you always have a secondary and a primary weapon, and then you have grenades as well. It's not that long a game. It's only 9 missions, and I've played through the majority of them so far. I don't know, they're fun. They're pretty linear and pretty quick, but it's still a really good game, and if you can get it for a decent price, and you have a Vita and you're looking for something to play, this is not a bad one. It looks really nice and plays really well, and it's got multiplayer. So, that's always a plus with games like that. Should never be the focus, but is always a plus. Okay, and the last 2 games I have here are from my Nintendo Wii U. First one being Sonic Lost World. This is the Deadly 6 bonus edition, meaning it essentially just comes with 1 extra level, which is an enter the Nightmare World and fight the Deadly 6 bosses on new colossal monsters. And that whole level is very Nights into Dreams themed, so you have all those bubble rings that you go through and things like that. Really fun. This game, people either love this game or hate this game, and I'm still on the fence with it. There are some levels that I really, really like, and then other ones that I do not like at all. There's a lot of forced running sections that I just never felt Sonic was... They just come off as frustrating, in my opinion. They don't really... They're not really well put together, and he's a little slippery. One thing they did with this game is they added the ability of a run button. So when you're playing the game, you actually hold down the right trigger, and that's when you can run. Otherwise, he walks around. I died a lot early on just trying to get a hold of those controls. But once I could wrap my head around it and understand what the game was going for and how the game functioned, it actually works really well. Now, if you're more of a fan of, say, the Sonic Colors or Sonic Generations style of Sonic game, which I am, this isn't for you. It's a lot slower. It's a lot more methodical. It tries to recapture the slower-paced platforming roots of the Genesis games, like in Marble Zone and so on, where it was less about breakneck speed and more about precise platforming and control. I think this comes closer than any to finding a good balance, but I still think that if you're a fan of the Sonic Generations or Sonic Colors style, that you're gonna be this game's gonna be a little off-putting for you. I still recommend it, especially if you have a Wii U, and there's not much to play on the Wii U right now, so this is actually really, really fun. The only thing that I would complain about is the Wii U gamepad is the only controller you can use to play this game in single player. And I have a problem with that because the touchscreen doesn't do anything for the game to add to it. The only thing you use the touchscreen for is to activate the color powers, which would be fine except for the L and R shoulder buttons aren't mapped at all. So you could move those to those two buttons and be able to use a Pro Controller or just a standard gamepad. It really confuses me as to exactly why you can only use the touchscreen. I mean, you can play the game off the TV on the touchscreen, which is great, but I rarely ever do that with the Wii because it's in my room and my television, so I can do whatever I want. So I don't know, maybe they'll add that in like an update for it or something. But it just feels like it's not really it just feels like it's not adding anything. It's just there to be there, and they're just doing it because they can, rather than making the game better. But still, fun Sonic game, good try, good attempt, a good way to kind of refresh the franchise and the formula. I recommend it. I think it's fun. But again, it's not like if you go in expecting Generations or Colors, you're going to be a little disappointed. The last game I bought here, and this is actually the last game I bought, period, and is for my Wii U as well, which is Super Mario World 3D, or Super Mario 3D World. Whatever. This is probably my favorite Mario game since Mario Sunshine. I'm of course not including any of the classic ones because the retro ones are just so amazing that it wouldn't be fair. But I certainly like this better than Mario 64. I certainly like this better than Mario Galaxy. I think it's a little bit more fun to play. The things they changed in this game, they're all sort of minor, but they all add up to a really nice experience. Like, they added a new power-up, which is the cat suit, and with that you can climb on walls, attack enemies with claws, and just get around the level a little bit faster, a little bit easier. There's 4 players, where you can play as the classic 4 characters from Mario 2, which is Mario, Luigi, Toad, and Princess Peach, all of which have different abilities and play slightly differently. Like, Mario's good all around, Luigi's jumps high, Toad is very fast, and Princess Peach can float. So I actually end up playing the game a lot as Mario, just because I kind of want to be classic, I guess, I don't know. But every once in a while I'll play as some of the other characters, just to see how they work. And it really adds a lot of replayability to try to play through levels as one of the other characters. Another thing they added is they added what's called a Lucky Cherry, and what that does is it will actually double the character. So if you have 1 Mario and you touch it, you get 2, and then 3, and so on if you keep collecting them. And the levels that those are in are really well constructed for the use of multiple characters, and it is just a blast when you get 4 people in on this. My only complaint is, and again, it's with the touchscreen controller. You can play the game pretty much with any controller you want, except for when you get to these certain levels where you are required to play 1 player only with the touchscreen gamepad. Now, this wouldn't necessarily be a problem, except for the further in you go, the more and more of these green stars you have to find, which they're scattered throughout each of the levels. But you get 5 of them if you play the levels that require you to use the gamepad. So because I was playing through the game with just a Wii U Pro controller, I was not playing through all these other little levels that required the gamepad. So I wasn't collecting the green stars, which made it very difficult later on to get to some of the further levels. And it just seemed like when you do play those levels, this touchscreen again isn't adding anything. Like, you touch it to move blocks around and stuff like that, but not anything that a simple button press couldn't do. If that makes sense. Like, it just feels like, again, like it's there just because they have it. I really wish you could play the whole thing, literally the whole thing, with just the Pro controller. I really like the Wii U Pro controller a lot, especially for this game. But again, it's still a really fun game. Tons of stuff to do. Really fun to go through, and the 4-player mode is just hectic and fun. I highly recommend this. I don't usually go out and grab a Mario game, but since the Wii U is on such a gaming drought at the moment, I'm still waiting for like Bayonetta 2 and X to come out, games like that. This one is fantastic. The Miiverse integration is very well done, and overall it's just a fun game to play. So I highly recommend this. Anyway, so that's all the games for this collection update. Out of them, I can obviously recommend Pokemon, Killzone, Mario, Sonic, and heck, I'd recommend Lair. If you can pick it up for as cheap as I got it, why not? It really isn't that bad a game. I think it really got a bad rap that it necessarily didn't deserve. But yeah, all these games those are all the games that I have for this collection update, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you saw some ones that you're interested in, and I will catch you guys on the next collection update.